e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, e5, knight d b5, d6, knight d5, knight takes d5, e takes d5, knight e7, c4, knight g6, queen a4, bishop d7, queen b4, queen b8, h4, h5, bishop e2, bishop e7, g3, e4, bishop g5, f5, castle queenside, bishop takes b5, queen takes b5, check, king f7, king b1, b6, bishop takes e7, king takes e7, f3, queen e8, f takes e4, queen takes b5, c takes b5, f4, rook hg1, rook a f8, g takes f4, knight takes f4, bishop f3, rook f7, e5, d takes e5, d6, check, king f6, bishop c6, rook d8, d7, rook e7, king c2, g6, rook g3, rook e6, rook a3, a5, b4, a takes b4, rook a6, king e7, rook takes b6, e4, rook a6, e3, rook a4, e2, rook e1, rook takes d7, bishop takes d7, king takes d7, rook takes b4, knight g2, rook d4, check, king c7, king d2, knight takes e1, king takes e1, king b6, rook b4, rook e5, a4, king a5, rook b2, king takes a4, b6, rook e8, b7, rook b8, King takes e2. King a5. King e3. King a6. King f4. Rook takes b7. Rook a2 check. King b6. King g5. King c7. King takes g6. King d7. Rook a5. Rook b4. Rook takes h5. King e7. Rook h7 check. King e6. h5. Rook g4 check. King h6. King f6. Rook a7. Rook h4. Rook a5. King f7. King h7. Rook g4. Rook f5 check. King e7. King h6. Rook g1. Rook f2. Rook g3. King h7. Rook g5. h6. Rook g1. Rook a2. King f7. Rook a7 check. King f8. Rook g7. Rook f1. Rook g4. King f7. Rook g3. Rook f2. Rook g4.